This week on Hey the Parents, we are talking about the cheddar, the fat wad, the cheese, the Benjamins. It's time to grab those dusters, collect the garbage, empty the dishwasher, and clean your room because, hey, it's a hard knock life. Money to burn on blind bags? Saving up for those kicks? V-Bucks running low? Those games aren't going to buy themselves. What to do? On this episode, we are talking about allowances, money, and chores. And of course, we talk about when we were younger, mishaps with our own kids, and what the supposed experts say. Because it's the three of us and all of you. I'm Michael Height.
I'm Sara D.
And I'm Mike Levine.
Kids don't come with a handbook, so we need your help.
Where do babies come from?
Where do you think they come from?
Is this a kissing book?
Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
I learned it by watching you. There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We sent them to the best boarding schools. We hired the best nannies. We did everything right.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
No drinking, no drugs, no kissing, no tattoos, no piercings, no ritual animal slaughters of any kind.
Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
This is Hey Other Parents, an honest, messy, imperfect show for raising kids.
Hey, it's us
What's
again.
up?
Welcome back.
Hello.
So good to be back. So good to see you guys. I love my special time. Is that right? Special time? Does people say that? I love time with you guys. It's so nice. It's like a little hangout sesh.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You know, our favorite thing is as we get ready for the show, sometimes the three of us are just kind of hanging out, like pressing buttons, making things work, checking microphones. Things aren't working. They are working. And then all of a sudden, 25 minutes go by. We're listening to like meme songs and things are happening. We're like, we should probably start recording a show at some point.
It was fun doing that.
So welcome back. So this episode, before we jump in, I had a bizarre situation with my son that I had never encountered before. So over the weekend, Jacob had strep throat, which was, not that uncommon, no big deal. So
Yeah.
you know how it goes. So he was like 3 days. My throat hurts, this, that, and the other. And we're like, we brought him in. Strep was negative on the rapid, and then they send the culture out. So Wednesday to Saturday comes along. We're like, you know what? If his throat is still hurting him, I want to bring him into the doctors and just see what's going on. So we bring him in, and then right away tested positive for the rapid. We didn't even get the results back from the culture yet, but whatever. So we got the rapid tested positive, and then we got him on amoxicillin, bubblegum stuff. My child, this is an interesting episode we'll have to talk about at some point, is my son is 11 and he has never swallowed a pill yet. I'm starting to think we should probably have him start swallowing Tic Tacs at some point. We haven't gotten there. So we're still on the, bubblegum stuff. We got the droppers. And so we started taking it Saturday. You know the deal. 24 hours, you're good. You got the meds in you. Now you could be back in public again, seeing people and not spreading germs. So, okay, all good. So that is now Saturday. So now we fast forward down to this week. And I think it must have been, I guess it was probably, I don't know, maybe whatever it was, Thursday, maybe it was. So anyway, so some time goes on and all of a sudden, he's like, my fingers are itchy. I'm like, what's going on? This is nighttime. My fingers are itchy. I'm like, what's going on? So I'm thinking immediately,
allergic
because I have an allergy.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I think immediately that he's got an allergic reaction to food. So we were down this path once before when he was much younger. It turns out no children are allergic to corn oil. So we're sitting there and I'm like, okay, legitimately, what could this child be allergic to? Because I have an allergy to like yellow dye, whatever. This is the most exciting podcast you ever listened to. So anyway, I have an allergy to yellow dye, yellow number 5. And so we had lemonade, the Crystal Light stuff, whatever. So immediately my brain snaps to that. I'm thinking he probably had this. He might have my same allergy. So we gave him some Benadryl. Good old Benadryl, saves the day, makes you go to sleep, whatever. So he takes the Benadryl, and then later in the evening, he's like, I'm still itchy. And I'm looking at him. He's got like hives and like red dots. It's not chickenpox, but he's got like, we're like, what's going on? Like the Benadryl should have taken care of it. So he wakes up the next day, and the hives are still there. And now I'm like, there's no way that this is like, from food, because that would have gone away. You know what I mean? So we went back to the doctors, and it turns out that they believe that he's actually allergic to amoxicillin. So amoxicillin could take between 3 and 10 days to build up in your system and actually start to show that if you have an allergic reaction. The big thing is if they have like a swollen tongue or a swollen throat and having trouble, swallowing and breathing, because then that's more serious, obviously. But this was just kind of itchiness. Yeah, so this is the first time in our house we've had that.
Oh,
so
man, that's
my sister
wild.
actually was telling me.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Was it like everywhere or just like certain parts or?
It was everywhere.
Wow.
So it was on it started his hands, and then probably within, I want to say, like maybe 15 minutes of him saying initially that his hands were itchy, we saw hives and red spots,
Oh, no.
not like spots like recessed, but like rays with the hives. That they were all over his body, but not like chickenpox. Like it was definitely like hives, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was on his neck, on his face was turning blotchy. And we're like, oh my God.
it's
So it was like,
changing.
please, are you having trouble? The biggest thing was
Yes.
he wasn't having trouble swallowing or anything like that.
Exactly, right.
But it was alarming when the Benadryl didn't take care of business, because that usually is like, you know. So this is now what are we on? So this was since so this is 3 or 4 days, and we got allergy meds, like, you know, whatever the like the allergy for seasonal allergies. Take the liquid stuff, take the Benadryl if you need it. And he actually went to school, and he needed to take a couple Benadryl tabs on Monday because it still was kind of making him itchy in the morning.
And
but
they're still-
today's Tuesday. It's all gone now.
Oh, thank God. I would say they're still making him take the amoxicillin though, even if it's still giving him a reaction.
No. So they said stop taking it. So they got him off the amoxicillin. And like, look, we'll write in his chart. If he gets a sore throat back again, we're like, oh God, here we go. And a temperature, you got to call us back because it won't put you on something else to get rid of the strep throat. But we think at this point he's good. But how crazy is that? Like, apparently he had amoxicillin when he was younger. But what's so wild about this is that it could actually kick in as an allergic reaction later on.
Yeah.
So like you could be used to it, you could have no problem, and then like, you know, you get, you know, a few years go by.
Dude, parent
you could have a
intuition,
reaction.
man. Parent intuition right there.
That isn't that wild? I really was surprised because I know that he had, you know, I mean, you forget which child had which thing for pink eye or you know, whatever else.
I tell you, man.
That's bananas.
It's been a long winter. I feel like
It
we
has
have just been through a lot of sicknesses this winter, and you know this reminds me of our sickness episode. It's like trust your parent intuition. You know.
Oh yeah.
Good thing Mike, you know, was like, oh, something's up here. We got to get this checked out. You know, and look, all of a sudden your son's allergic to amoxicillin out of nowhere.
It's crazy.
You know?
I mean, it is a chore raising kids. I would put my money on it that that on this episode we are talking about what happens when the kids are old enough to help out in the house.
Oh, man.
And they take on some responsibilities, and you say to yourself, now, we didn't have children to have them clean for us. However, since there are more bodies in our house and there are many of us, we can certainly share in the cleanup jobs. And that's what this episode's about. It's about the cleanup, the chores. It's about money, about allowances. And in some families, those things are separate. Sometimes they're together. And this episode is all about that. And I think, I don't know if we're going down this road, but when this episode hits 88 miles per hour, it's time for us to jump in the time machine because we are going back in time. By the way, did you guys know there was a Back to the Future Broadway show that's out now? It's
Yes,
like a musical.
there was
I need
a
to
friend
see
of
that.
mine. She is she does theater in her school, and one of her students was actually in one of the leading roles. Is that
What?
Is that
That's
amazing?
really cool. That's
She's
really
For real?
cool.
She was really proud. Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah,
I mean,
Back to the
I mean, she's
Future.
probably a little biased, but like, is it good? Have you heard anything about it?
She's seen it. She said it was excellent. It was very good. She was recommending to bring Julian to go see it. So, you know.
No way. Maybe we should make some plans
We
and
should.
do this thing.
We should get an own DeLorean and just hop in there and just, you know.
There you go.
I know
see
my
the-
problem though is I can't. I could hear Doc Brown's voice in my head, but my brain keeps going to Rick and Morty for some reason. So I don't know. It's all messed up. Whatever.
You're pretty good at your
I know.
imitations. You can probably pull it off.
Oh, come on. Let's go. So we're going to get into the, we're going to hop it through our green portal. We're going to jump in our time machine, or we're going to go back in Wayne's World. But it is time to go back in time to talk and discuss what it was like when we were younger. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if this was your life. And we talked about this last episode with Sara. It was very funny because I immediately was thinking of this about girl jobs and boy jobs.
Oh, yeah, yep.
But I had, and I don't know if it was because I was lower to the ground because I was shorter and younger, but I had this job that, and it's funny because I think of it now and I'm like, there's so many easier ways to do this, but I had this job where my parents would fill up like a little bowl of warm water and soap, and it gave me like a little rag, and I had to go around the whole house cleaning the molding.
Yes.
Cleaning the molding on the floor.
Yep.
Did you have that when you were younger? Did you?
Oh, yeah. That was fun. That was an easy job. Like the baseboards and the molding. That was a good time.
It was, but like I think it comes down to, I believe, two types of people. I don't like sitting on the ground, so I'm not like a crisscross applesauce kind of guy. I rather sit on the couch. I don't like the whole. So like getting on the ground, I'd be so uncomfortable. The hardwood floor, like just kind of cleaning and like, oh, it's the worst.
It's
You
a
didn't
hard
mind it, huh?
knock life. No, because you know
Sure,
what?
for real.
I used to like take the little
Daddy Warbucks wasn't worth it.
the little Murphy oil like water. I don't know if your parents use that.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I would like dip my little sock in there, and I would like run across the baseboard and then run back. So I made a game out of it.
Yes.
Oh wow, you probably
Yes.
finished it in like
Very
30
nice.
seconds.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. Like, hey, as long as the job got done, my mom wasn't complaining too much.
Yeah, but now
You know
did you
what?
just clean on your own, or were you doing this for a chore?
Oh, sure, dude,
right.
totally sure. Yeah, you. I was probably a little brat. I don't think I would do any of this stuff on my own. Like,
know.
like there had to be some sort of incentive for me or something. Like I wanted to be a good kid. I wanted to help out, but like some of this stuff was like the down and dirty.
Yeah.
I also had the vacuuming. I had the vacuuming, and I remember the vacuuming was fine. But like my parents insisted that I vacuum the stairs, and I don't care what version of this is. Like I'm surprised I didn't walk away with a herniated disc as a child, because like you remember how the vacuums used to be. They used to be like insane. You either had the ones on wheels with like the tube that would pull it, or you had the super duper heavy ridiculous thing that was probably the same weight as I was trying to get the stairs.
Yeah,
That's
but
brutal,
you know what I
man.
remember about the vacuum? Like I hated vacuuming, but there was one thing I loved about the vacuum, and it's just like a lawnmower when you make the lines in the rug.
Oh,
because
yes.
it's just
Satisfying.
Like, yeah, it's satisfying because
Hold on
you're
a second.
like,
I want to sit in the couch and I want you to tell me about this. Wow.
You know,
All right.
so when
Do
you're,
tell.
when you're when I was younger and I had to clean my room, or I was doing it for a chore, I was going, making perfect straight lines, and sometimes I'd have fun with it. Like I'd make like a star. I'd start making like shapes in my
love
rug
it.
because the vacuum is
you ever
just like
sign it?
so powerful.
I would say write your name. 'Cause your name's nice and easy. A lot of
I
straight
know.
lines you could do.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Sign your name in every room.
to what Sarah was saying, it was for some reason very satisfying. That was the only thing I liked about vacuuming is leaving the lines in the rug like a lawnmower,
I'm not even gonna. We're going right into this right now. Now that you're older and you get the lawn, your brother-in-law mows the lawn, or do you mow the lawn?
My brother-in-law mows the lawn actually.
Do you now? Okay, this is great.
Nice.
So when he does it, does he do the lines?
He does do the lines, but I don't think
Oh, so you feel okay with that?
I don't think I ever asked him like if he finds it as satisfying, as I do, So I don't know.
But more importantly, if he didn't do the lines, how would that make you feel?
He'd be frustrated. you gotta make the lines.
So what about you, Sarah D? So what were the jobs that you had? Like you were down the floor with me with your with cleaning the molding.
So the girl jobs.
Mike Levine had the vacuum. What we got?
So we did girl things. I didn't do the vacuuming because again, that was a boy job. We don't sweat. So I dusted like the baseboard, the furniture. My mom had like a million figurines because she was a big collector on like these Hamill doll things. So I would get in a little bath. That was fun because I get to play with them while I was like washing them and stuff like that.
So you weren't just like dusting, you like clean them off and then like clean the shelf and like wash them and put them back?
Yep. That was like that was a chore. Like every
Were
Saturday
they
we
like
had to
dog
clean.
people or were they dog statues or people or
No,
like what
the
were
little
they?
Hamill dolls. They're like little German figurines, like German artists, I guess.
Okay.
And they're like, a little bird has like almost like precious moments, but not. Like a little bird has landed on one of them.
Were they like porcelain or something like that? Were they
Yes.
like, oh yeah.
And then like her like
Okay.
Rockwell dishes and
Okay.
figurines too. So it was fun, like kind of cleaning them and stuff like that. I got to play with them because we're not allowed to
Such
touch them.
satisfaction.
I understand that.
Except for your cleaning.
I understand that because when I was younger, I had all my Star Wars action figures and battle scenes, and I wouldn't touch it for a while, and it would collect so much dust, right? And I'm like, oh no, I gotta clean the dust, and it was just like trying to get around all the little nooks and the crannies of like your action figures without messing up the battle scene, and then all of a sudden half your rebels will take a hit because you knocked them over by accident, I'm like, no.
Oh my god.
No. Yeah.
I
So
know.
every Saturday we cleaned. It was always like, let's clean and then we could relax. And we cleaned the whole house top to bottom. The rooms had to be cleaned, stairs, baseboards, figurines. It was like a daily.
I think that
every weekend
that was
ritual.
smart.
Yeah.
So you did it was clean before you did the fun stuff.
Yes. And then my mom was always like, by 5 o'clock, we'll be able to relax. And I'm like, okay. And then, it was like, cause all day
by
clean.
5 o'clock. Oh, this is a whole thing.
But we had breakfast and lunch. Obviously she fed us in between it all.
You threw your towel and back to work.
Yes, basically. And we just cleaned.
Wow.
But it was just, I don't know, it was just a routine. It was like a lot to clean.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of dusting and stuff like that.
I feel like a brat right now because like my thing was that we would watch Saturday morning cartoons.
we did that too.
You're listening to this,
we
you know
did
the
too.
deal, right? Because there was no recording unless you were like with the VCR on. So like you had to be awake and ready to rock for when those cartoons went live.
Yeah.
So then this is basically what happened when the cartoons were over and the live action happened. When Saved by the Bell came on, that was the end of the cartoons.
Yes.
So then it was like, oh, time to clean.
Yes, that really was for us too. Yeah. And then, but then we had like a nice breakfast, then we had a long lunch. Like, so it wasn't like hours upon hours, like, or didn't feel like that at least,
Did your cleaning habits, did it change when you started getting into your teenage years and then a little bit older?
I don't think I had
Not really. For
yeah,
me.
no, I don't think I had a choice in the matter. My mom very much.
Yeah, it was like I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, no, and like when I was like old enough, because I didn't go away to college. So even when I was, at college and hanging out with the friends, till the wee hours of the morning, I was still getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, even though I waltzed in around 5, and I was like, okay, this is great,
I think I had I think we had maybe to load the dishwasher too. I think that was my job as well. Because we would go visit my grandparents in Florida. They have, it's like a normal like retirement community or whatever else, but they don't have, they didn't have dishwashers.
Oh,
so whenever we would go down there, my sister and I would have to wash the dishes and dry the dishes. So like bring in the food, my sister would wash, I would dry. And then we got back to New York. I was like, thank God.
That was tough.
So we had to do like the load and dishwasher and all that. But the thing is like, I don't know about you guys, but like, it was like, I'm so bad. I feel like I had money to burn. Like every single time I got allowance money, whatever else, I was like, it was spent before I even had it. It was ridiculous. I don't know if
I never got allowance money. What about you, Levine?
My cleaning habits kind of changed a little bit. So my parents kind of instilled allowance, like, oh, if you clean, I'll do allowance. But then again, it just, I don't know, it wasn't enticing enough. So
I did nothing. No.
Well, it's funny that you say I did nothing. Not that I did nothing, just like
that's not how you win the attendance award.
I didn't clean as much. I kind of revolted a little bit in cleaning. My parents would get so mad. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll clean my room. In my teenage years, and then I would never clean my room. So I don't know why, but he decided to take the door off my room.
That'll do it.
He's like, oh, okay. So once you clean your room, then I'll allow you to have privacy again. I'm like, oh, man.
You're like, well, guess I'll never have privacy again.
Wow. Surprise.
Yeah. That's hysterical.
Yeah. That is, you know what? Sometimes there's different approaches, I guess, right?
It's tough love.
It's funny because like, I think Sarah, maybe you had a similar experience as me. It was like, you got like, whatever, you got some money for your parents or whatever, like the basic necessities or whatever it was. And then if you wanted like money, whatever, like you would have to get a part-time job of some sort.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like I worked at the pool, I taught swimming, which was like, I was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I worked with the younger kids and stuff and, taught them, whatever it was, like every Saturday morning. And then when I was old enough, I kept doing that, like, cause it was like a small little gig, whatever. And then I got a job working at Tower Records, which was like they're gone now, sadly. But in the 90s and early 2000s, they were, maybe it didn't last. It must have been 2000s, right? They were there for a bit.
I think so. They hung on for a little bit.
Record stores used to be a thing, and I worked there, and that was awesome. But that was like it's a whole other thing, hanging out with older people and like learning the ways of the Jedi. Yeah. And there's this guy, Joey, he called himself Ho. He's the best dude. And he was he like took me under his wing a little bit, and he must have realized like, this little young high school guy doesn't know anything about life, and he's a cool dude, and he into music, and then that was the great scene. But that was like, worked at Records, got the money, and then like we would spend all of our money in like going to buy concert tickets and going to the city.
That's cool.
So that was like, there wasn't a lot of money that was reserved after that. But like I said, like it wasn't until much later where I met my wife that I definitely learned some better habits with saving and spending.
That's good.
How about you guys? Did you save anything?
So one, we never got allowance. We tried it. My mom.
So it was hard to save if we didn't have allowance.
Exactly. My mom was kind of like, you live in this house, you make the mess, you got to clean it up, and that was kind of just it. Once in a while, she would say like, oh yeah, if you do this, I'll pay you something. We never saw the money, and we always fall into that trap each time. But I too. So when I was 15, I got a job because I was like, I want to make money. And my mom, we used to go to like A&S, and back in the day, they used to have these crazy sales. You get like this big bag of clothes for like a ridiculous amount of money or whatever, like a minimal amount of money, I should say. And but anything I wanted, like, and I wouldn't say like name brand, because I wasn't, again, I'm like not into name brands, but anything like fancy at like the little clothing stores that were not at the mall, that just felt fancier, I would have to buy myself. My mom was like, I got you jeans, I got you tops, I got you whatever you need. Anything else that you want, you have to get a job. You got to pay for it yourself. And I appreciate that, to be honest with you, because it's like, you know, she got me the basic necessities. Like, if I don't need something fancy, but if I wanted that, you know, I got a job so I can get myself, you know, like nice, like clothes, or like a fancy little jean jacket. I remember also getting my
saving up for your first pair of docs.
Yes, right. Getting some medicine from CVS once I found out this Dayquil. You know, like things like that, you know.
The pure necessities,
yeah,
the things you need.
The necessities. I was like, oh my God, medicine to make me feel better? I'll pay for that. Why not? So
it's funny because you mentioned that, like growing up, my parents maybe were kind of similar in that regard. Like if sneakers, I remember this was like, clothing was a big thing, like, you know, in middle school. And I remember, now I don't know, like if this was like a rites of passage, if like you're, you know, like you take your black and blues and you grow a little stronger because of them. But my mom was like, there's no way that she was spending money on like expensive kicks. Like we would go to Payless footwear, and it was like you could pick any no-name brand of this
whatever.
And I'm like, no.
And they do the same thing.
Oh man, there was some kids in my class that were like such jerks, and I remember like they'd make fun of my sneakers, right?
I know, I hear you. I had the Adidas sneakers that had only 2 stripes, not 3.
Oh no! And
I remember telling kids
they were like Adidas or something.
Yes, I remember telling kids that the 3rd stripe fell off. I was like, "Oh no, it's gone."
Oh no!
I didn't realize they're like
podcast in that therapy session for us here.
Oh man, chores.
Rough.
I'm just thinking about our past. Why do we make our children do chores? Why did our parents trying to grow up your children? You know, help your children.
You speak
grow
for yourself, buddy.
responsible.
No, I'm kidding.
Responsible citizens, right?
It's funny now because, you know, as time has gone on, I feel like, you know, I like what Mike's saying. You take like some of your experiences when you were younger, and then you put your own spin on it, you know, when you're older, and you're like, okay, going through the experience, what was valuable? What taught a lesson? What didn't? How could I teach my kids not to like blow through their money as if it's like, you know, if they don't spend it right now, it's going to go away.
Right.
You know, obviously like going to college, I remember like the first couple weekends that I was in college, I shrunk many of my clothes because I did something wrong. And I realized there is something beneficial about having your children learn to do the wash, because that is a good trait to learn how not to make your clothes small like a Wayne's World. So the thing that
that's so funny.
one of the things that we, you know, I guess we we just parked the time machine. Oh God, that thing. Oh, we're good. Watch out for the suicide doors. So the thing that we really realized is as time has gone on that like we try to pick like selective things that we know that they could kind of handle at the right age. And like when my wife brought it up, it was very funny because like I used to like give her a hard time because she was like, oh, my mom made me do the laundry when I was like really young, and like it's kind of sounded almost like I don't know, maybe she's taking advantage of you a little bit, you know. But now that like our kids are, you know, the ages they are, we don't expect them to like lug their laundry down the stairs and like, you know, good luck with all that. But like we taught them kind of how to fold them and stuff like that. And I feel like that's something that like they could do. We could meet them where they are, where they could do and they could handle. And like that's a big thing. And I feel like just them doing that, whether like they do a good job or not, it's just like taking the ownership over it. The whole thing has made our life better because our middle guy, Ethan, somehow miraculously would go through like 30 pairs of pajamas in a week and socks. We're like, dude, nobody gets changed that many times. Like, what is happening right now? So we're like, this kid's doing his own laundry. I can't deal with this anymore. So now like he's doing it miraculously. There has been a couple less outfit changes. So that can't be a bad, you know, that's not a bad thing.
Oh, look at that. Yes.
It's hard because also trying to come up with the right number, because like it's a weird thing. So like if you give them too much money, in theory, like you run into a problem where like if they have too much money, they're almost like complacent about it and like, I have money, why should I bother?
Yeah.
Like that's one thing. Or you run into the issue where they start to have this belief that they only have to do the things that are on their list for chores, and if they're getting paid for that, that's it. And we had this issue where we had to break that up because we realized that our kids were getting like, number one, it was really becoming a thing that was totally connected to greed and money, and it wasn't really about helping at that point. And then they were like almost like giving us an attitude if we were like, no, that we need you to do this. And like, well, that's not my chore. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Let me tell you a little story. If our family needs you to do something and we need you to do it, you're going to do it. And this is not even a conversation. You're going to do what you're capable of doing. And that is totally on top of and not connected to you getting paid for it. If we need you, you're going to do it. And once we kind of started that belief, I think things started to get better with this whole thing.
So that's basically the same thing too. Like we tried many times to do like, you know, chores and stuff like that in terms of getting paid, but it's hard to like, because my kids in particular are like, but how much is like cleaning the island worth, and how much is cleaning the island worth when you have guests over and they might leave a mess, you know? No, they get really into
I dig their entrepreneurship. That's pretty impressive.
And it's a fair question, because like sometimes we do have guests over, for the most part, you know, everyone's an adult, they clean after themselves, but once in a while there might be like a few more things left over, or we hosted and there's like appetizers. So like, and I appreciate, but then somewhere along the way, it loses the fact that it's like, okay, like I clean when your friends come over. Can you help me when my friends come over too, perhaps like a little bit, like,
right.
You know, like, so there's a line that Jean and I always kind of like toe, where it's like, no, this is not extra. This is just being part of family, versus like, all right, cleaning up the dog poop in the backyard. That's a terrible job. No one wants it. I'll pay you $10 to do it real quick, you know?
Right.
And like off they go.
The worse it is, the better it pays.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's like true, because like the thing is like you almost like there is a disconnect. And I feel like growing up, I had the disconnect and I didn't learn that. I didn't come to grips with that I was kind of a brat growing up with that, because I didn't associate the helping part of it that was needed versus just like, this is your job, you do, it's a checklist. I did it, no more problems, like we're good here. But it was like, who knows, maybe whatever it is, everybody's different, or maybe the way you interact with your kids, whatever else. But I feel like we needed to break that disconnect, and we wanted to do it as early as possible, because we didn't want them to grow up, you know, with this kind of like, you know, this entitlement when it came to getting money connected to only certain things.
Right.
And like there's an app that we use, and my wife has kind of taken over all of this, and she's done a wonderful job with this. It's called Greenlight. There's a few of these. It's basically the gist is it's an app, and what you do is you basically choose like an amount of money that you want your child to feasibly earn in a week, and then what you could do is you could take the chores or the responsibilities, and then you could basically make it just 1-to-1, where like if it's like, you know, whatever it is, like if it's $6, whatever it is, and there's 6 things, each of those 6 things is related to $1 essentially. It divides it up, and then they have to mark or check it off when it's done, and then you review it, and then you're like, was it good enough? Let's have a meeting about your growth, and then you could kind of
let's have an annual review.
And then like if they don't do it, then they just don't get paid for it, or like we say like, you know, this. You didn't, like, for example, if it's like summer and one of their jobs was to pack lunches for their little sibling, or to like make, you know, scoop yogurts into a container or whatever it is, and they're not making lunch that week, you don't get a pass. We try to find something else for you to do, you know?
Right.
But it feels like there's that disconnect. And I mentioned earlier, I believe that the combination of those two things has made it better for us as a family. And breaking through the like what's fair, what's not fair. Because as soon as that fair word starts showing up, then you feel like the problem is much deeper than you realize.
Oh gosh, yeah. Right now, so we want the green light for Sophia and Julian. However, we made the mistake along the way giving Sophia a Cash App card. As I'm literally trying to send right now her some money because she's in Florida.
Oh, it's like connected to it? Like it's part of Greenlight, or this is separate?
This is separate. So we gave her a Cash App card. And it really was for the fact that, like, you know, like when she's out and about, sometimes it's hard to keep money on you, or it's easier to do card. So as she goes along, it's like, hey, I need extra amount of money, you know, like X amount of money. We just send it to her. But now with the green light, we are thinking of trying to do that, like, hey, you earn a certain amount of money, because sometimes it seems like she's asking for a lot, and she may or she may not be, but like it's like like I sent you like 20 yesterday, you need another 20 today, and now I need 30 tomorrow. So Jean and I were thinking like just setting her like a set limit and being like, do whatever you want with it, but you got to make that last for the week, because for her with chores, she's at the point where with high school, she's not at a local high school right now. She's going to a different high school, the private school, and she wakes up at 5 a.m. to get ready, and she doesn't come home until 3:45 on a good day, or sometimes 7 o'clock at night, you know, with practices and stuff like that. And her main job, we always tell her, is to get good grades, because that's what we're concerned about. So in some ways, besides the weekends, kind of unfair to be like, well, you have to earn money by doing chores. And it's like, well, the weekend is kind of like she might have practices or more work. And then once in a while, like she has to be a kid and like actually hang out with her friends. So it like leaves us Saturday to like do like what, like homework plus every other thing she needs to do. Like, so it seems a little unfair.
Seems hard.
Yeah, maybe on the summertime we'll work on it, but like I'm a little nervous trying to instill this green light thing with her, because it's kind of going a step backwards. You know, when she's already had so much freedom.
I feel like one. I mean, and this sounds like a weird thought, but if you said like your job is school, would it be weird to associate like reviewing, doing homework, studying, showing that she's doing her job, and relate that to? It's kind of weird.
It doesn't motivate her.
It's almost like you don't give her money that's correlated.
That we tried that a while back. It was like, oh, you know, if you get all like 4s or 3s, like that does not motivate her. She's not like schoolwork and money does not.
She's gonna do it or she's not.
Nah,
right?
she's just like, listen, man, I got a 3. I tried, whatever. You know, like she's not motivated by that. Julian, on the other hand, since he's young, we haven't made the cash out mistake with him. We're hoping to try the green card thing with him because he's a little more motivated. Like, so I'll put it this way. Sophia, we did like a chart, like on like we got like a nice chart with the chalk markers we put on the fridge. And we're like, okay, Sophia does like before the cash app, X amount of chores. By the end of the week, her goal is to earn X amount of money. Same thing with Julian, you know, like each chore, if you do it each day, like there's like daily chores and like one big weekend goal, like goal chore, like clean the bathroom, pick up the dog poop. And she was not motivated. She hates seeing it. She hates Julian like marking that he did something. Like, I don't know. There was something like that was so like.
Oh, it was a competitive part of it too.
Yeah. Like she did not like that part. So Julian loves that. He loves the chart. He loves the stickers. He loves the tally.
So
Sophia is like, nope. She's like, I'm not buying into this.
But it's like kind of punitive in a way too, because it's like almost like you could get the full amount unless you do something that's not
exactly
mess up. And
like Sophia's like the kind of kid like, so I think that's where you have to like know your child as well. Like Sophia's the kind of kid where she knows when the hallway bathroom is dirty, she's gonna clean it. She may not clean on Thursday when she sees it's dirty. Yeah, she's gonna clean it on Saturday or Sunday when she has time to do it. And meanwhile, Julian, like, you need to be like, yo, dude, like, did you take your shower? Did you brush your teeth? Like, you know, like the basic life skills Julian's kind of like, we need to help him out with. So he needs like something like reminders like that, you know?
Well, it's funny because I'm like I feel like I'm the kind of person that's like, my wife will be like, you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Oh, I like that.
BPP in our house. But the thing is that she's like, but for us, we've had like several blowout arguments over like dumb things, whatever. But she's like, why don't you do this now? And I'm like, no, listen, I will do this. Yeah. I may not do it the moment that you want me to do this, but I guarantee you that I will get this thing done. And we've had a lot of conversations with that. And we kind of like know how we're different in that way. Right. And like, that's different with some of our kids too. Like, you know, like Ethan he must take after me because he gets very, very frustrated when you're like, no, you got to do this, you got to do that in this order, this time before you do this. And he's like, I'll do it. I know I'll do it. And he will get it done. But it's like, it's hard for us because like, especially as parents, we're looking at them. We're like, we know you're going to run out of time. You know, you're not going to be wanting to do this like last thing at night, but you say it, you know? Yeah. But it's hard, right? I know, Mike, you had a situation with like the Mike Bucks, right? Well, wasn't it like what do you call them? Like the Lucas Bucks? Mike Bucks? Didn't you do that for a while at the store?
Yeah,
that's cute.
There's a bunch of things that we've tried. And I think the struggle as parents is like when is too much? Like how much are you doing is too much? Like Sara, you said that you're thinking about doing the green light thing, and I say go for it and do it because, you know, as my kids get older, I'm trying to figure out how much like pressure to put on them to do things, right? And am I putting too much pressure? Or am I not putting enough pressure? Just because, I don't know, I feel like life is just very difficult nowadays. There's just so much going on, and I want them to be able to handle it all. So, you know, what's the best way to train them for that? What, you know, like a Jedi, you know? So just kind of be putting a little bit more pressure as far as doing your homework, cleaning your room, taking care.
As Obi-Wan would say, that's not a smell I've smelled in a long time.
yeah.
Then it's time to crank up the pressure a little bit.
So in the Levine household, the same thing right now. My kids, just like how your kids said, oh, well, that's Ellie's chore. She does the dishes. And I'm like, no, dude, that's helping out your family. She did your chore before of feeding the dog. So, we've kind of gotten rid of the chores. We gotten rid of the Lucas bucks and the Ellie bucks, and we're kind of just switching it up and kind of like, okay, there's 5 of us in this household. We all live in here. We all got to take care of this house. We got to take out the garbage together. If you see something on the floor, pick it up for your mother and your father, so that we could all help each other out, especially with Taylor. With her, she's got some health issues that, if we all help her out, we help each other out, we could all live, harmoniously in the house,
No, I think that's really powerful. So my Uncle Manuel, back in the day, he, it was like during a time like my family was like needed some help and things like that. And he explained to me that the family is like an orange tree. And if the orange tree grows, then everyone loves the oranges, and we all pick the oranges, we all eat it and drink the orange juice that comes from the oranges. But if we don't take care of that orange tree, it's not going to keep growing oranges. So that's like a family.
Perfect.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's
you want
perfect.
it, like we have to kind of, whether it's mom or dad or brother or sister who might be sick and they can't do their chore, quote unquote, we got to help each other out, because if we keep taking those oranges, man, there's no orange juice for a Sunday brunch.
You're not getting paid to take care of the orange tree. Just help the orange tree grow.
Exactly. And we can all enjoy the fruit.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like a good way to relate to things.
Yeah.
You're like, which one of you let it die?
Right, exactly. Don't let the oranges rot, man.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because like I feel like maybe you guys kind of experience, you mentioned as well, but I feel like having our guys, no one gives you a handbook. Obviously, we say it in our podcast, and it's like a 4-way game of tug of war. But when our older guy, the older one is, he kind of like, there's a lot of rules because you're always on the kid, you're always with him, you're like the kid's napping, you're like everything's great, and then like you have the other kids, and then you're like, oh man, we were probably a little bit too much on that first kid. Yep. So like whatever we do, like with Jacob, I don't know, it kind of like, I don't know, I feel bad sometimes, but like we try things out with him, and things are a little less reactionary, or like a little more like tried and true by the time we get to Ethan and Noah.
No, that's
and
true.
then
It's true.
The nice thing is, like, once you do something with the older one, like in a positive way, or like something like a responsibility, whatever it is, it seems a little bit easier for the younger two to kind of like swallow, because they see the older one doing it. Like with the laundry thing, like I think it's not as much of a blow, because you're like, you're doing it, buddy. We did of course see Ethan at one point and take the entire pile of shirts and go boop in half and try to shove it into the drawer. Like, that U shape of all your shirts is probably not going to work too well this week.
Right.
No, and I understand the laundry thing too, because Lucas just turned 10, and it's funny because I told him, I was like, bud, now that you're 10 years old, you have more responsibilities. So enjoy this day at your birthday party, because guess what? Tomorrow you learn how to do the laundry.
That's funny.
Oh, that's amazing.
But you know what's funny is like,
I don't trust Julian with my laundry machine. My washing machine just yet. Sophia just started her laundry.
But there's something like you could even do some things like with your kids, like where I know this episode is not all about laundry, but something that we found was a little bit helpful with our guys was that, like, obviously what is with the sweatpants, by the way? Can boys wear jeans? So like there's like constant,
they're so
like,
constricting.
I know, seriously, but like between like the night stuff that they wear, like it doesn't really matter. So like if that's really like crease, whatever. The underwear, the socks, like that could just kind of go into the basket.
Yep.
And then what we found was like sort of kind of like help them get their jeans or whatever, pants, or sort of like, if you're helping them, you could fold them in half, put them in the laundry basket. They could finish the job. Right. And then the shirts, like we have one of those dryers that like it opens up, the door swings open. Yeah. So like I take all of the shirts and we hang them onto the door, and then I transport the entire pile of all the shirts stacked up each other on top of the laundry basket. And then this way they kind of have to fold those when they get upstairs. I find that that's a little bit better for them than just like go downstairs and take care of your laundry.
Yeah, no, that's so funny. I was just doing the laundry with me and Julian today. He had like a whole thing of fresh laundry, and he has like these little shallow drawers. So I'm like, I'll do the shirts because they need to be like folded like 3 times, like Maria Kondo into a small envelope size. And he has a closet that has like shelves, and that's where like his sweatpants, because he doesn't wear jeans, goes because they're so bulky. And I'm like, dude, that's what you got to do. Like, and he like, again, like showing him, and each time we do it, it's like showing him again, like, this is how you fold a sweatpants. This is how you fold a sweatshirt, you know, like, so.
I mean, do you ever get frustrated? Like you've shown them like 100 times, and then you're just like, oh my God, it'd just be faster if I do it. And then it's like you kind of go back on what you're doing. You know, you have that moment of weakness.
I resisted the urge today. It was very tempting to just do all of it for him and let him. But I'm like, I always think about his other mother, Sophia, who always says that he is not nearly as independent as she was. And I'm like, she's right.
Yeah, but you know what? It's funny because if you mentioned it, it's really interesting to like do that situation. You catch yourself about to help and then stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just watch them.
Yes.
And then just watch and see if like their emotions get all of a sudden they're like, I can't do this. I need help. You're like, stop with the act. You know how to do this.
I'm like, you got this,
like,
dude.
I'll wait with you. I'll keep you company. I know you want company. I'll sit with you. You're doing it. I'll sit with you.
No,
it's funny to watch.
I'm heartless. I was like, nah, man, you got this. I did my job. You do your job. Peace out. I was like, I'm out of here.
I love that.
I'm the same
but
way.
you know what's funny?
Because I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the disaster that's going to happen. I don't want to see it.
Oh, it's hysterical. Like all of a sudden he walks out of the room with like pants inside out. So the thing is that already. But the do you have a thing too where like I always think of like maybe dinner would be probably a good example where like people are doing different jobs kind of at the same time. Like we have like. Also, it doesn't help that my older guy and middle guy, they share a room. Like that's a whole different episode. But the thing that they'll have is like everyone is sort of responsible for getting their dishes from the table to the kitchen because you're not having dessert until that happens. And then Jacob will have the responsibility of spraying the table and cleaning it. And then Ethan will have the responsibility of sweeping the floor.
Nice.
I don't think Ethan understands the concept that if like you see food on the floor, you maybe have to go back a second time and grab that because you're like, dude, come on, seriously. So he gets all mad, but like, no, your job's not good enough. Go back. And then Jacob will, he'll have to do the spray. I think kids love the spray, by the way.
Yes.
And then, but it's funny to watch him because he's like either he puts half a bottle of spray on the table or like, it's
like 20 like paper towels. What about Noah?
Yeah.
What is Noah doing?
He's bringing his food in from the kitchen. He does little things like that. He cleans his room. He organizes his toys.
How old is Noah again?
Old Noah is 4.
Wee
little Noah is 4, and wee little Noah knows that when he stops, he knows that we will say to him that when you're done playing with one toy, you got to clean it up before you go to the next one. This is a work in progress. I will tell you that. And his responsibility is to put his clothes in the hamper. He brings his food in from the kitchen, and he puts his toys away at night when we go to clean up stuff. So. Is it always effective? Who am I to say? We try.
Exactly.
But I think this is probably a good opportunity to talk about the child development list of what they're capable of doing. So this is a great list. So check this out. This ultimate list of age-appropriate chores for children and teens. This is a website that we went to about a year ago when we were trying to figure this whole thing out. And I did actually pull from this. And it's interesting because I think that we probably need some updating because of the age of stuff, right? But what's great about this list that breaks it down by developmental skills and what they could do. Just 2 to 3 will have one list. Preschoolers will have another list, 4 to 5. Primary 6 to 9, that's a big gap. Middle school 10 to 13, high school 14 and up.
Yeah.
And then a system at 45-year-olds. No, I'm kidding, it's on there. So they've got. So what you'll see is like, for example, this doesn't sound. I'm going to sound like I know what I'm talking about only because we went to this website before we did this. So like this is accurate based on what we figured out. So things like when they're really young. They could do things like put their toys away, fill up a cat or dog's food bowl, place clothing in a hamper, wipe up spills. They're very basic things that you are basically helping them with, but give them some of the responsibility, right? Pile up books and magazines on the shelves or a table. Help load the washer and dryer. Like that's not impossible. Right?
I am late on that one because I said 10 years old.
Oh, Oh, you know what's funny? Because I thought you were talking, but you do it. So that's a good sign.
That's okay.
So the preschool,
You know what?
but the preschool, it's
You
not
got
even that
this.
hard. Like it's when you hear it and you say it, it's really obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things
Just
like
pull
making their
stuff out
bed
of
without
the-
supervision, clearing the table. Now, like gardening, look, not a big, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I'm
pulling
not a big
weeds and
green thumb
watering
kinda guy.
flowers, they may get a kick out in the summer or whatever else. But using like the handheld vacuum for crumbs, we try that. What a concept. That's not bad. But then even like we use like this, like we were using like a little handheld vacuum thing, and to be honest with you, it wasn't working for us. So they sell, Rachel found this like little like electric little sweeper thing that you basically press. It's like a vacuum essentially, but you press the button and it picks up food and stuff. We felt like that was a lot better, although I just mentioned Ethan just drives around the food, but it definitely works. That works better than it was before. So trust me, before it wasn't good. You step on a grape, you're like, seriously? But yeah, no, bringing in groceries, assisting older siblings with setting the table. Like, for example, Noah, his job is putting out napkins. They're never folded great, but he puts out the napkins. And then Ethan does the silverware, and Jacob does the plates because he can reach them.
I love it.
And then, little things like, little dusting. Dusting is, that was interesting when the two of them dusted. Like Jacob got the high, Ethan got the low. And then Jacob, being the parent, would be like, no, that's not good enough. You have to go over it. And then he would do it. And I'm like, good Lord. And then as things go a little higher, now primary school, 6 to 9, this is like a little more, now it grows a little bit. Now it's like helping make lunches because they totally can. They each help with making their lunches.
Yeah. They sure can.
Cleaning the bedrooms with some supervision, putting away the groceries. So the groceries, I know Mikey talked about that. When the car pulls up, I expect to see able bodies ready to help. And then helping prepare with dinner.
All different shoes on their feet, doesn't matter.
Dinner is the one thing where I feel like I fall guilty of. I'm just going to do it myself. It's faster. But I have been trying to make it an effort to have them do one aspect of dinner, even if it's just like adding one little seasoning to it, because I feel like they take a little bit of ownership. And emptying and then Ethan has a job too, where he walks around. This is at the age of like 6 to 9, so he's a little bit old, whatever. He's the right age for that. So one of his jobs is to walk from the bathrooms to the bedrooms and collect all the garbage and throw them in a bigger garbage bag. Does he do the greatest job? Not wonderful, but he needs help sometimes.
Yeah.
But
No, but you know what I do with you might want to consider with dinner or anytime you're cooking is maybe like set a timer and say like, okay, the sauce needs to be like stirred or
that's
whatever
really smart.
in like 5 more minutes. But if you're doing like a million one things, put the timer on and say, hey, when the timer goes off, you're gonna turn it. You're gonna let me know, like depending on what it is, because like there's obviously things like if I'm frying chicken, I walk away from it. Like I need like Sophia or Julian to just let me know that I need to like turn it.
Because you get some very dark air fryer stuff if you don't get in there.
Yeah, you don't want you don't want like dark stuff or whatever. And then like I just feel like you're responsible for like stirring the sauce, or you're responsible for like this or whatever. Tasting the pasta, let me know if it's cooked or not.
Right, that's smart. I like that. I want to write that down. And then there's also now Jacob's older. He's like 11. He'll help me with bringing the garbage down to the curb. So like a couple times a week, that thing.
Yes,
and it has some things here too, which this is different because you have to know your kids. Like obviously, your comfort level. You know what you're as a parent, what you're comfortable leaving your kids in the house alone to watch the other siblings. Sometimes at work, sometimes World War III. So you have to know your family. Here on this list is babysit younger siblings with parent. Oh, with parents at home. That's interesting. Like, what do you do? Go on a spa day while you're I don't know. Anyway, that's a weird one. Not not my thing.
That's too much.
High schoolers. This is interesting. This has we're not there yet, but obviously Sarah can let us know if this makes any sense. Clean out the fridge. Help deep clean the toilet, sink and shower. You talked about that. Clean the windows. A little babysit for short periods of times. This is where it gets a little dicey. Mow the lawns. Care for pets independently. I have a Roomba. You guys have pets.
Yes.
And make meals make more complex meals. Accomplish small shopping trips alone. That's interesting. After driver's license, I do like having them come with me sometimes, but I do value the alone time sometimes. But occasionally, if it's later in the day, Ethan will jump in with me. We'll go to Trader Joe's, and we've been doing a little bit more of that lately than going to like the regular shopping grocery stores, whatever. So he likes that trip.
Nice. No one wants to come with me.
No, you know what though? I do find, and I know this is like a little bit bribery, but I do find, and look, every kid's different. This is not going to work for everyone. People at home probably rolling their eyes, but I find that if I give them a little bit of a like, hey man, you came with me, I guess you get to pick out a snack for yourself. That's a little bit more enticing than just like,
Yes.
we're going to the
I
grocery
try.
store.
Like you want a little Starbucks? Yeah.
It's when the snacks don't show up when they don't come. That's when it works out really well.
There it is.
I know. But I see resew buttons on clothing. I knew how to sew by age of 9. My daughter's behind on this. I got to get
Home
on
and
it.
careers in middle school or whatever that was, 8th grade. I didn't learn that, but I learned how to make tacos. That was good. So I think it was good. I think it's a good article. I don't know if it's like the best article, but I do feel like from the standpoint of breaking things down by developmental ages, I do think that this is a great resource for parents.
I think
honestly.
it's reasonable.
And then you could, and then when you look at the list, like Mike's, like, you know, Lucas turned 10, you look at the numbers and you're like, okay, it's time to graduate. It's time to take some different responsibilities on.
Yeah, definitely.
Or have more kids and then pass it down. Or don't. I don't know. So the question this week is all about allowances and money at home and chores. Do you associate the chores with money? Do you kind of change the money around by age? What are the things you did when you grew up? Did that change over from when you started to raise your kids and show them how to do chores at home? So if you want to get in touch with us and tell us how your chores go in your house, you can leave a message on our Hey Other Parents voicemail line at 559-LAY-KIDS, or you could just call 559-537-5437. Don't worry, phone number's in the show notes. 2, you could email the show at heyotherparents@gmail.com. You could join us on Instagram or Blue Sky at Hey Other Parents. We'll try to keep you up to date with stuff, pictures, and more, because it's time to unplug. Don't forget, you will be a better we if you take care of me. So, Levine, my friend, the man, the myth, the legend, the Solo of Han, the wielder of lightsabers, what do you have going on this week?
So this week, I wound up finding this new Star Wars toy line, which is called Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron. I used to collect Star Wars Action Fleet.
You don't say.
Yeah, which was a micro. It was like, here's the nostalgia factor. It was like a micro machine, but it was like the perfect size. Yeah,
like the
but it was
small little.
It wasn't the smaller ones. It was like a medium
Okay.
size. It was like the perfect size to play with when I was younger. And I would save. I would I would go to a school, and my mom would give me $2 for lunch every day, and I wouldn't eat lunch. Like I would pocket the $2, and then when I get home, I'd eat stuff, and I would save so that I can spend like $10 or $12 at Toys R Us and buy my Star Wars Action Fleet action figures. So now, and I was always upset because when I was younger, I wanted more ships.
Less chips means more ships.
Exactly. And I was so upset because they didn't make like all the spaceships. And then just recently, this new Star Wars line came out, which is like, you know how they always redo things, but now they're calling it Micro Galaxy Squadron. And I bought a couple of them, and I have the new Millennium Falcon, the Razor Crest from the new Mandalorian.
No way.
Yeah, so I've been kind of collecting this and keeping it to the side and making sure that none of my kids destroy it.
Oh, a caller just called in. They want to know if your stomach growls when you are when you're shopping for your squadrons.
Yes, it does. But yeah, so it was really nice to see this line of toys out again. It brought back that nostalgia factor. It made me, and I'm like, wow, oh my god, this is like perfect for the show that we're doing this week, because I saved my money. I remember saving my $2.
That's amazing.
For these every week. So yeah, what about you, Sarah? What do you got going on?
Como se dice amazing, Sarah? What do you got?
Como se dice? So El Duolingo, man, that little owl bird thing, he get angry sometimes. He's like, "Where are you picking?"
I wanted to say that. I would love for him to say that.
He'd be a little sassy sometimes. I honestly say that. But so Duolingo, I know is like old news. I'm sure a lot of people are like on like level 8,000 million or whatever. But I was like, I'm not very good with my conversational Spanish, and like I know my vocab, but I really need to practice like speaking. So I downloaded the Duolingo. I'm on week 3,
is it
Sapphire. It's fun. It's like it's almost like
you
a
want to
game,
keep a streak,
game.
right?
Like you like say stuff, listen stuff. Yeah, you want to keep a streak. You get like little like XP points. You get little gems. So I'm learning Spanish, and because also too Gene speaks Creole, I'm also trying to learn a little Creole. I understand it for the most part when his family speaks Creole. I have some very basic words. But I felt like it was kind of fun today. I wowed him with some sentences, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm impressed." So. He got some time in hands. As the guys were kind of figuring out the sound right before this episode, I was doing a little Duolingo, the Creole version, and I got it in. I felt really cool. So it's quick, it's easy. 5 minutes.
Did you ever do Rosetta Stone?
I want to, but that feels very fancy.
So expensive too.
Yeah, I would say expensive.
I mean, I remember way back when I was trying to improve my Spanish as well, and I wound up getting Rosetta Stone way back when, but I didn't know if it was similar or the same or different or kind of along.
No, I was thinking of like, do you remember back in the day like a PBS like Muzzy?
No. Was it a show or like a?
So it was like, I guess something you could buy. It was instead of a cute little owl that yelled at you, it was like a little monster dude that like spoke different languages, and you got like the CDs and whatever. I always want my mom to buy that for me. She never did.
But now look at you.
No.
I was gonna say it would be so cool if you didn't tell Gene that you were doing this. Oh, how cool would that have been if you were just like?
I know. I should.
Like a year doing.
You
should like just not say anything and see like he'll kind of
anymore.
Like
just pretend I dropped it off.
Yeah, and then you practice this
Yeah.
diligently for like a year. It would just actually, you know what? We should be marketing for that point if that's the case.
Yes.
All of a sudden you
like
just bust in the show doing Creole. They're like, hey, Duolingo, this works only when.
Right.
So check this out, guys.
Duolingo and the little angry owl.
I love it. I'm like, some of my kids are doing it, and like it's like the streaks are intense. But of course, because Ethan wants nothing to be like, Ethan wants to do his own path, and Jacob does Spanish. Ethan's like, I will do French. So
I love it.
Crazy, right? So I have something interesting for you guys. I found something different. It's not a TV show. It's not a video game. It is something else. I stumbled across on Defector. It was an essay. Now, I didn't read a book. I read an essay. Check this out. This is a really interesting article. It is called Learning to Play Piano When There's No Recital. And I really loved reading this article. What it was about, essentially, is there's a woman who does, does podcasting, does writing, does whatever, just like blogging stuff. And she's with her friend, and the friend said, she's mentioned this in the essay. She says to her, like, what are you going to do? It's like New Year's, they go for these walks in the city, have coffee, bring the dog. And she says to her, like, what are you going to do to be creative this year? And at first she was like super offended. She's like, my whole life is creative. But then she starts thinking, she's like, I live in a box. Like I do creative stuff for work because I'm good at it. And then she had this thought process of when she was younger and watching movies, like that she wanted to like, she did all these things when she was younger. And like, it was like, doing a sport, doing this, doing that. And one of the things that with her growing up is that she felt her parents were never pushy as far as telling her to like stick with something. And the one thing that her mom said to her ever about regretting to stop doing something was piano. And she said, someday you'll regret stopping playing piano. This was years ago. So she's thinking back on this now. And she's like, well, what would it be like to pick a hobby in which there's no recital, just playing piano with no recital? I'm just going to play it for myself. And it was just an interesting article about when you are an adult and you grow up and you think about the time that you spend on things that you're good at, and then you kind of shave off the things that you're not good at. And you don't focus on you from a creative standpoint. You focus on yourself from a career standpoint, or for things that you're doing that like, instant satisfaction. And she was thinking about like, how can I build this creative juice or things that I do just for myself? I don't need to play for anybody else. But the article is really about the mind frame of like just doing something because you want to do it. And you have this like itch that will not go away until you fill like some sort of creative reservoir. And I loved it. The whole thing, I read it in like 10 minutes, but it was a great article. Wow. And my wife loves art. It's great. And my wife loves art, and she does
very
it.
Inspirational.
We do podcasting, but like I always feel like I have to like get my hands dirty in something, whether it's like, with a Cricut, make a t-shirt, it doesn't matter. But I love that. I love this idea. And the thing that sat with me about this article, she talks about the piano teacher and like he loved having her because like she got all the references, because when she walked into her piano lesson, an 11-year-old popped out, and then when she finished her piano lesson, like a 7-year-old popped out, and she's in her 30s, and she's like, boy, this is coming to grips with being okay with it. But there was something really rewarding about it, and she loves to just be in her apartment, tinkering with a little piano. And I really was inspired by this idea of, yes, you could enjoy something and you don't need to be amazing at it, and you don't need to perform for anybody, but you could play an instrument, you could do a thing just because you enjoy it. And I feel like when I read that, I'm like, that is Parenting Unplugged. That's got to go on the list. So
that's awesome.
I'll put the link in the show
it.
notes. I hope you guys, I hope you too. I hope you guys check reading this because I think it's a little inspiring when there's a lot of articles and self-help things that I'm like, I don't want to read. But this was a good kind of reflection point of like, you know, maybe I need to pick up that guitar again because I may not sound like Trey Anastasio, but I can sure sound like me tinkering away, making mistakes, and that's okay. So I think it was fun. I enjoyed doing this episode with you guys. And I think I think with that, I think we're out of time on this episode on allowances and chores with your kiddos. It doesn't matter if you set up a weekly chore calendar or if you have your kids pitch in where you set the rules. Have those children help out because they are part of your family and that orange tree needs to survive. We'd like to take a moment to thank our listeners and supporters for donating to our show. If you want to help support this show so we can keep making shows just like this one, we have a link to donate to the show in the show notes. If you don't have the means to do so, we totally get it, but we hope that you can tell your friends, your family about our podcast so we can reach more parents and learn more and share more. And if you have time, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We can't wait to explore this parenting thing again with you next week on Hey the Parents because it's the three of us and all of you. Don't forget to hug your kids and charge your Chromebooks. That's going to do it for me, for Mike, and for Sara. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey the Parents is produced by Mike Levine, Sara Desreens, and me, Michael Haidt. I edit and mix our show. Our intro voice recording was done by the one and only Coltrane. If you like our show, we hope you'll consider going to our show notes and help support the podcast. Find us online on Instagram and Blue Sky at Hey the Parents or send us an email at heytheparents@gmail.com or a voicemail. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.